Lesson 5-6, Graphing Linear Inequalities. These graphing will be on the XY plane, so we won't be working on a simple number line, but on two number lines that we traditionally call the XY axis, or possibly the Cartesian graph system. First, a vocab word, boundary line. A boundary line is a line which is solid or dotted. Yes, today you'll have to be drawing dotted lines occasionally and reading dotted lines. That makes or creates what we call a half plane. So if we think about the whole plane as the XY axis, you're going to be drawing a line which is going to be solid or dotted. In this case, I'll draw a dotted line. And that is going to be breaking the region, the area up into a space that is down here and another space that is on the upside, so to speak. Yes? So that is the boundary line, and that is what we would call the half plane. The yellow is half, and the red is half. All right, example number 1. Which is a solution to the inequality? 2x minus 9 is less than negative 3. And they give us 2 points, negative 1, 9, and 0, 0. So, as you would expect, we're going to take these coordinates, negative 1, 9, remember that in the order they're giving, x comma y, and plug them in carefully into that equation. I forgot a y. Sorry. There should be a y variable right here. All right. Okay, so let's plug in the negative 1 for x and the y for the 9. Now you can see where that 9 was showing up. Now we're going to evaluate that. What is 2 times negative 1? And we get negative 2 minus 9. Is that less than negative 11? And sure enough, we get negative 11 is less than negative 3. And so we say, yay, this is a true statement. All right, now we'll check 1, 0, 0. Again, be careful of the order. In this case, we don't have to be too careful because they're both zeros. So 2 times 0 minus 0. Is that less than negative 3? Clearly on the left side we have 0. Is that less than negative 3? Well, 0 is not a lot, but it certainly is more than negative 3. So this is a false statement. This does not work. This skill is going to be really important for tomorrow's lesson and just a little bit for today as well. All right, so again, that was testing which is a solution. Example 2. This is now the full deal. They're going to give you an equation, and they'll say graph that inequation in this case. So, first of all, notice the inequality symbol here. It is helpful to think about this as an equal sign, but know that there is no equal sign in this problem. This is going to tell me that the graph that I create over this way will be a dotted line. Can't forget about that. But to find the 2 points down here in my graph, I need to think about it as an equal sign. Yes? So, let's plug in the 0 for x, as we have done in the past. We'll take the 0, plug it in there, and we get 3 times 0, minus 2y. And again, let's think about that as an equal sign, because we're interested in the boundary. So negative 2y equals 12, so y is equal to 12 divided by negative 2. I think that's 6, negative 6. Doing the same thing, this time for the y, plugging in the 0 in the y spot, we get 3x minus 0 is less than 12. Oops, again, forgot to change that. Forgot to change that to an equal sign. And we get x is equal to 4. Yeah, after dividing by 3. So now I have my 2 points, 0, -6, and 4, 0. Let's come over to our axis and plot those values. So -6, I think, is going to be way down here. Put a nice big dot. And 4, 0 will be over here. All right, now we're going to go through and draw a line, except, don't forget, this isn't a solid line, but a dotted line. So do your best to draw a nice dotted line, because we cannot be equal to those values, which would create the table. And now we need to shade. If the bell rings and you have to shade quickly, it's a 50-50 shot. Either you shade above or you shade below. Since we have a little bit of time, we're going to pick a point and test a point. Of all the points that are below and above, the easiest point, I think, that we could pick to test would be the point 0, 0. Since 0, 0 is not on the line, we can test it. Please always put a dot at your test point, list out the coordinates, and now I'm going to put this point into the graph. So again, plugging the 0 for x, 0 for y, we get 3 times 0 minus 2 times 0. Is that less than 12? And we certainly would say that that is true. 0 is less than 12. So because this dot is true, it makes the graph, it satisfies the graph, then we will shade the upside. Yeah? So take your marker and shade that area. That is the shaded portion of my graph. That all the points in that region will make the inequality statement true. All right, last problem, example 3. Write an inequality for the shaded region. All right, the shaded region is that region which is shaded red. Okay? We need to first of all establish where the boundary is. You'll notice the boundary is a line. So we first of all need to create or find one of those 3 things I've listed out: the slope, the y-intercept, or a point. Hopefully, in looking at that, you can see some dots. You can see what the slope is. I'll write that out here, draw that out for you. Between any 2 of these points, we can see that we have a slope of down 1 over 3. So we'll come over here, we'll jot that down. M equals -1/3. The y-intercept. Where does the graph cross the y-axis? Again, highlight that dot, highlight that point. It is 0, -2. And finally, what is a point that is on that line? Sometimes you won't be able to spot the y-intercept. In this case we can, so we can use that y-intercept. But if you can't, take another point, any point you want, say that one there, and list that, because you can always plug that into the point slope form. All right, so we're going to use the slope in the point or the slope in the y-intercept. In this case, it's easier to write an equation in slope-intercept form. So I will use that form. All right, we start with a y. The inequality symbol here, we don't know what it is. Leave it open. It's not an equals. It might be greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. The slope we know, it's -1/3 times x. And again, the b value is that y-intercept. Where do you cross the y-axis? All right, now you need to put an inequality symbol in there. Most of you could probably guess. And again, because you're shading below the line, you could guess, well, these are where the y values are smaller. Yes? The y values are smaller. So again, you would think then, okay, then that inequality would be less than. I'm going to pick a point to test this region. For variety's sake, I'm going to pick the point 1, 1. I'm just going to plug it in. This statement should make the statement false. Yes? You could pick a point down here, like -3, -3, and that should make the statement true. don't like to pick negative numbers. I'm going to plug in 1, 1, but again, it's got to be a false statement. So 1 is negative 1/3 times 1 is negative 1/3 plus negative 2. All right, if I were to put an inequality statement in there, I would say that that would be a greater than symbol. Again, I need to make the statement false, so I'm going to flip it around and put it the other way. Yes? Keep in mind, sometimes we need to add the equal sign. In this case, we don't. This is just a less than symbol. Again, because we see that the line is dotted. If this were a solid line, then that would be less than or equal to. All right, hope that helps out. Good luck in your homework.